yes, it's awesome.
Okay. So the first few things we're going to do are a little bit of a review, but we want to make sure you have a good base before we start introducing new things. Okay? Because if you don't understand what we do today, this unit is going to be very, very difficult for you. Okay? So let's start with naming triangles. Okay? We've done this before. So can you name this triangle for me? ACT. And some of you missed points on the test because you didn't put the triangle. If you don't put that, I have no idea what you're talking about. Triangle ACT. What else could I name this triangle? TAC. Or CAT, that's my favorite. Okay? So you can name it any, neither of those are wrong. What's important is you make sure that you put that symbol there in front, okay? Now, some of us struggle a little bit on what's a side and what's an angle. All right, so let's talk about the sides of this triangle. Tell me the sides of the triangle.
AC,
Thank you. What did I forget? CT. Okay, and we put the line over top of the letters to symbolize their segments. Ellie, you with me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, how about angles? Now, when we do these type of examples, we want to get in the habit of naming angles with 3 letters, not just one, because what you're going to start to see is all these triangles overlapping and on top of each other, okay? So let's talk about the angles, but I want to talk about them with 3 letters. Who can give me one of the angles with 3 letters? CTA. Angle CTA. Good. What else? Angle ACT. What's the last one? Angle CAT. Okay. The important part here is recognizing that middle letter. Okay, that middle letter is the vertex of that angle, right? So you need to make sure that you represented each of the angles in that triangle. Everybody good? Not yet.
Could it not be TAC?
It could be TAC. Yes, it could be TAC. It doesn't matter the order, as long as the middle letter is the one that's important. Okay? All right. Can you try this triangle over here for me? Name the figure and then the sides and the angles, please. This guy over here. This triangle goes with this box right here. Oh, okay. Whew. It's worried. Okay. All right, let's look at the next one. Okay, so these are the kind of pictures that get a little more tricky, okay? Because we have the 2 triangles that are overlapping, right? All right, so what I like to do is we're going to actually... Okay, so let's take a look at these 2 triangles. All right, so I want to highlight this triangle. Highlight it with green. So we have 2 triangles here. So I'm going to highlight my triangle BDC. It's a lot easier for me to see that triangle when I highlight it. So we're not distracted by the other letters in the picture. Okay, so what do you want to name this triangle? Triangle BDC. And again, you can switch the letters. It doesn't have to be that order. Now we need to name the sides. BD, BC, and BD. We said BD.
DC.
We said BC.
I said DC.
DC. Stop confusing me. Okay, now how about the angles? Angle BCD? Okay, angle BCD, good. Somebody else give me another one, raise your hand. DBC, okay, DBC, that's a D. And Good with that? Are all our angles represented? D, B, and C? Yeah?
D, C, B.
Okay, now use your other color and highlight the other triangle. And do the same thing. Name the figure and list the sides and the angles for me. Okay, we're good here? Alright, so can you please go down and try number 3 on your own. Do both sides. Highlight, name the figures and the sides of each of those triangles. And I want to see if you can answer this question here. Okay? If you need help, raise your hand.
They're killing me.
Okay, so let's talk about this question right here. And I want you to answer the question as I would answer the question. So I really want you to think before you answer this question. Okay? Which angle would be congruent in the above picture? Okay, don't shout it out. I want you to give me the angle and the reason why. Who can do it? Catherine?
Angles EGF and angles HGF.
Uh-huh.
Because they are, and I know this word.
It's okay. Who can help her, Raven? They're vertical.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay.
I was like, it starts with a V.
EGF is congruent to angle HGI. Okay? Because they're vertical. That's another one you're going to use all the time with these proofs that we're going to do next week.
So I think you should write it under there. So we remember.
Okay? If I said angle G is angle congruent to angle G, is that acceptable?
No.
No, because I have no idea what angle G you're talking about. Okay? Because technically there's lots of angle G. There's this one, and this one, and there's this up here, and then this one down here. Okay? So you can't just say angle G. That's why we're telling you have to use 3 letters. Good? Bad? Indifferent?
Good.
Okay. Let's go on. We already did that. Here we go. Next page. Somerville, you want to take over for a little bit?
Yes, I may.
Okay.
This is what she's doing so much. Okay.
It's recording.
Oh, okay. Wow. Someone, please tell me, what does included mean? We've talked about it before. And it doesn't have to be a really, really great geometry definition. We can massage it. Yes, Tori? A part of. I like that. It's a part of. What's that?
Combine.
Combined. Huh? What else? Okay, now let's get a geometry word. When we're talking about included, we're talking about something that's between. It can be an angle, or it can be a side. So if we're looking at this first problem, it says AC blank AT. AC is a segment. AC and AT, and we're looking for the included angle. Now, looking at how I've highlighted it should be fairly easy for people to identify that angle. Name the angle? Wait.
It's the angle, right?
Yes.
Oh.
CAT.
Thank you. Be very careful, because when we're talking about included angle, we should have 3 letters, and the letter should start here where I highlighted, go through the angle, and down to the other side. And that's why I like to highlight it. What's the included angle for our next one? So we have CT and AT. What did you say? CTA. What has to be in the middle? T, the vertex here. All right? Now let's do the other thing. Now, I have a technique that I like to use for this one, but first let's identify this angle D. So I'm looking at this angle D right here, and angle S. Okay? What is the side that's included between angle D and angle S?
DS.
DS. You have to be very careful. I like to make sure that you realize that you're talking about, if I were to identify this with 3 letters, you couldn't just look and say DS because we have those angles named with 1 letter. You need to make sure that you're looking, and look, I'm going to use 2 colors so you can see the technique that you should use. Angle D is actually made up of JD and SD, yeah? So that's my green, my blue. Now I'm going to pick up my green and do my angle S. It's made up of JS and SD. Where do they overlap? DS. So that's how I identify my included side. Make sense? Okay, can you do the same thing for D and J? Thank you. Anybody have questions? No? Oh, I'm supposed to go down over here. All right, I love this section. This will help you learn how to take information that you're given in a question or problem and apply it to a diagram, which is what geometry is all about. Can someone please read me what letter A says? Because that's geometry. What does letter A read, Marlon?
Angle L is congruent to angle Q.
Okay, now when I see angle L is congruent to angle Q, I want to make a mark. Does anybody know what kind of mark we put on the diagram to show that angles are congruent? Yes, everybody's going like this. It's a little arc. Angle L is congruent to angle Q. Now you notice I put 1 arc on each because they're the same measure. Yes?
Or 2 points only for sides.
Yes. Very good question. All right, now B is a little bit confusing to some people. Who wants to read B to me and tell me what to put on it? You with me, Raphael? No? All right, Ziamara.
Segment LM is congruent to QP.
Okay, I'm going to do that one. LM is congruent to QP. All right, so I'm going to put 1 tick. Next,
LN is congruent to QN.
LN is congruent to QN. Thank you.
And MN is congruent to P.
MN is congruent to PN. Is that done correctly?
No.
What's wrong, Nacella?
In segment NN and segment PN.
Thank you. Why are we putting 3 ticks, Nacella?
Because those are the words that are not with L and Q.
Perfect. If I had put 2 ticks on these, then that would have meant, as Nacella said, that LN and Q, that all 4 of these are congruent. Very good. All right, let's keep going. What is this one? You with me, Vanita?
Yeah.
Can you read that for me?
Angle M is congruent to angle B.
Okay, and what do I need to put on the diagram?
A tick mark by angle M.
1 tick? 1 arc?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's also congruent to that one? What's it congruent to? Okay, so I have to put 2. Because if I only put 1 arc, then that's saying that this angle is also congruent to this one. Okay? Now look, Miss Sawyer's left a D there for us. What do you think that we can grab from the diagram and put over here in notation for geometry? What do we, are you offering? Okay, tell me.
Angle LMN is congruent to angle
Uh-oh. L and, oh wait, I said, why did I write this wrong? Sorry, let's start over. Angle LNM is congruent to angle PNQ. Why can Ziamaro say that?
Catherine.
Catherine, this is your word.
What?
Why can we write this?
I wanted you to answer the question.
Oh, I'm like, I don't know what just happened. Why it can't?
Why can Ziamaro say this
Why she can't?
based on this diagram? You'll get it when you figure out what Ms. Sawyer's asked.
What I don't get actually is because, she's saying that L and M and P and Q.
Angle LNM
Um,
and P and Q. Vertical. Woo, woo. How many arcs do I put here?
three.
Why do we put 3?
Because
They're only congruent to each other, not the other angles.
But I do have a question though.
I'm listening.
We're saying that it's, that they are vertical, but like the left side, like LN, there's 2 tick marks, but NP is 3.
Okay, are we looking at here? Or are we talking about an angle or a side?
Angle.
Okay. What are these tick marks on? Angle or side?
Side.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There are 6 parts of a triangle. 3 sides and 3 angles. Okay?
Okay, so this is what you need to get away from doing because I know what you're doing.
I was seeing them.
You want to collapse this on top of each other. That's not how this works. Okay? You have to get used to interpreting what it's telling you, not looking at the picture. This triangle is actually rotated around onto the other triangle. Okay?
Which happens
Now I get why
frequently.
you called on me.
You get,
Yes.
you'll remember that. Yes.
So it wouldn't be okay if you said triangle element is equal to triangle
Equal to, shapes are congruent. You will, that's what we're working towards. Right now, we're working on the markings, but you're right, they are congruent since all 6 parts are congruent to each other. Is that what you're asking?
And there will be a specific order you have to put things in.
Yes, that's what we're working toward. I love it. Now, we're interpreting a little bit more. Can someone read A for me? All right, Miss Ellie. Okay, we have to be very careful when we're reading this because we're talking about an angle bisector, right? What does an angle bisector do?
Divided triangle.
Divides what?
The triangle into 2
Okay, but this is telling us it's a bisector of what?
angles.
An angle. And what does it do to the angle? Okay, you're right. To 2 what?
Congruent angles.
Ah, Suki, so we can write now. What is that picture going to look like then, Joel? What am I going to do? I see angle. Here's my angle ABC, and here's my angle bisector. So what marks can I put on here? Because you just told me that ABD is going to be congruent to CBD. How do I mark that on this diagram? Do you remember how we mark congruent angles?
Tick mark.
Yes. Are they tick marks? They're arcs. Okay? Does that make sense? Some people put them high and low, so you can tell that they're one, but the booty works. All right.
Oh, Miss Ellie, say what you're gonna say. Why don't Miss Ellie doesn't like the picture? What's wrong with the picture?
There's only one.
Good job.
Go, girl. You get a piece of candy. So, do you see what Miss Ellie's saying? We already had these angles with 1 arc, so we have to put 2 arcs up here. 2 booties. All right. B, who's talking to me? What is B?
Paul, he spoke. Get the popsicles out.
Oh, okay. Catherine wants to take it.
So BD is the perpendicular bisector of AC, meaning that AD and BD
AD and which one?
AD.
Okay, wait a second. We talked about a perpendicular bisector.
BC.
It's a perpendicular bisector of AC. So BD, this side here,
Mhm.
is perpendicular to which side? Which segment? It tells you of, okay, so this segment and this segment are perpendicular. How do I show that in a diagram? What do I put on this diagram to show that it's perpendicular?
No,
Oh, tick marks.
Yes, a little box.
Oh, box.
Remember the
Yeah,
box that we
that.
put in? Okay, so that means that it's 90 degrees. And if it's 90 over here, this one has to be 90. You don't have to put both boxes. We accept you putting one. Now, we still had something else that I think was Catherine was thinking about.
Yeah.
This word bisector. What does bisecting do?
Cut
Joe told us cut into what?
half.
So how am I going to mark that BD bisected AC? What does that mean? Tori? Awesome. We put double tick marks because we had already used one. Does that make sense? Now, I like to ask my students to do something whenever you see a shared side. So before we even go over there and finish listing what Miss Sawyer wanted us to find, what side can I put tick marks on here, which is not adding something that isn't true because it's a shared side. It's reflexive.
BD.
BD.
Media.
How many? 3. So we can say over here, someone tell me what to write, what we just marked. BD, thank you. Thank you. And that is called reflexive. We're going to use that a lot in our proofs. All right, let's keep rolling. What else can I put over here that I see? I'm going to interpret ticks on the triangles. Where am I? BA, BA is congruent to BC. I'll take that. So now we have 2 sides. How many sides are in a triangle? Catherine?
3 and AD is congruent to DC.
Suki. Awesome. I may have written that backwards. Does it matter? Not this one. All right, and what's left? We have a couple things that are left. How many angles do we have? BAD angle. BAD is congruent to angle BCD. I'll take that. Do you mind if we go on and list all the angles? FG. DAB. Thank you. You with me, Yuda? EFGH. Will you give me that last angle? I kind of messed it up in my drawing. All right, Catherine. Don't you just like D, D, A,
Okay, wait, hold on. Osmond, what's the mistake? What do you see? What's wrong?
Yes, I said to him, I said, when you look in the vertex, you can see that these are the same angles, just named differently. That's fun. I'm glad we caught that. Woo. Angle. BDA I'm going to give you. What's it congruent to? BDA is congruent to Osmond. Thank you. You're all so shy today. And what's my last angle? So we have, okay. So we have the one, this is my one arc, this is my box, so.
A, B, C, D, B, C.
All right. Perfect. So we have all 6 parts. Shall we keep going?
Actually, can we have them do 3, 4, and 5 right now? I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Okay, does anybody have questions about number 3? No, we're good there? All right, how about number 4?
Wait, can you put the answer for number 4?
Put the answer to number 4? We're going to do number 4 right now together. Everybody good with number 3 though, right? All right, let's do number 4.
What I suggest that you do with number 4 is that you identify your triangles and separate them. So I'm going to take triangle LJM, and this angle was there, and I'm going to move it and label it LJM. Do you see what I did? And then I'm going to take this other triangle, KNL, identify that that angle was there, and move it. And then I can identify that this is N, this was K, and this is L. Now if you look at the diagram separate from each other, let's go ahead and put the marks on that they told me to put on. LM is congruent to LK. Make sense? Okay. LN, you see this side here, is congruent to LJ. Everybody see that? Okay, now what else we saw is when these triangles were overlapped, you see where this angle L is? It's part of this triangle, and it's also part of this triangle. So what can I add here about that angle, even though it's, what would you like to say, Miss Sally? How would you name the angle in the green one? Yes.
J L N.
It's congruent to what angle?
Angle K L N. Yes. No wait.
Yes, you're right. K, L, N, yes. And you see how L is the vertex? So we know that that's this angle here. And I went ahead and separated it because it's easier for me to see. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, go ahead and do number 5, and I'll put the answer. Okay. When you look at this diagram, the first thing I want you to notice is from a previous unit. You see these arrows? What do those arrows tell us? That these lines are parallel to each other, right? What do we know about parallel lines cut by a transversal? They create angle relationships, right? What would you call, I'm going to erase this so we don't have all this color in front of us. What would you call the relationship between this angle here and this angle here? They're alternate. Are they exteriors?
Interior.
They're alternate interiors. Thank you very much, Destiny. So, since I have another transversal here, which other angles can I mark as being congruent?
F G.
This G, yep, F, G, H, and
J H K.
J, H, K?
No, my.
J, K, H, thank you. You notice I'm putting 2 ticks, 2 arcs, I mean. All right, what else can I add to this diagram? You all right, Ziamar?
Angle
KH what?
KJ
Okay. And
is congruent to FH.
okay. All right, now let's write it up. Now I expect for you all to be able to list these congruent parts because you know this now. I'm gonna write what I see and check your answers. Okay, so these are the congruent parts. We have our, oh, it disappeared. FHG is congruent to KHJ, and so on. Notice that those are the H's, those are the vertical angles. This is angle G and angle K. This is angle F and angle J. And notice how I did D. All those sides that have one tick mark on them are congruent to each other. So I drew a string of congruent. That's a string congruent statement, right? Because everyone that has one tick is congruent to the other, correct? Yes. That's an angle. You're talking about FHK as an angle? Yes, they're congruent, but that's not inside the triangle. We're only looking at parts inside the triangle. But you're right, those vertical angles are congruent.
What kind of triangle is FHG? Very good. I
Very
got
good.
Miss Amarillo,
Yes.
does it matter in what order you do these steps in?
No.
Okay.
I just tend to do my angles and my sides separate just so I can make sure I covered everything. Okay, so we're
Number
gonna
six.
skip number
Yep,
6.
we're gonna skip number 6 for now. We take a 5-second break while I regroup.